What's going on, people? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this fine Thursday lunchtime in the UK. I'm going to be shooting off to the cinema shortly to go and see something worthy of the big screen. But before I get into that, this morning and last night I watched Andor Season 2, Episodes 1, 2, and 3. Now, anyone will tell you I am quite a big Star Wars fan. I am part of the original 77 crew in the UK who saw Star Wars on the big screen when I was just a wee whippersnapper. And of course, I've been an avid Star Wars fan ever since. Of course, the more recent efforts, the last trilogy, left a lot to be desired. In fact, let's be honest, it was pretty crap. Then we've had various spin-offs. We've had Mandalorian, which has been a mixed bag. Mostly good, I thought. Book of Boba Fett, absolutely diabolical. Obi-Wan Kenobi, some bits good, some bits bad. And then we've had Ahsoka, some bits good, some bits not so good. And then we probably had the worst Star Wars show of all time, The Acolyte, which I tried to give a fair shake for it. Everybody was saying it was going to be rubbish. I thought, let's not do that. Let's check it out and give it a fair shake, and it was bad. Extremely poorly written and directed, and just a very bad concept overall, with few redeemable qualities. Now we have season 2 of Andor, episodes 1, 2, and 3, which have just dropped. Good to see Dark Hour and Wormy Spoons in the chat. Don't see you in the chat very often, Dark Hour, but thanks for popping in. So I've got some views on this. Let me talk about it quickly. So first of all, I like the cast in this episode. I like the cast in this show, full stop. The cast are committed. They're always doing their best. It is a first-rate cast. You've got some incredible actors, both in the lead and the supporting roles. You've got some great new, fresh young talent in this show. You've got people that can really act, quite charismatic actors with presence, who are, doing their best with the dialogue that they've given, which is a mixed bag at times. And then, the production design varies from kind of, oh my God, that's a green screen, to, hey, what a cool location you've used. And Andor does do a pretty good mix of both. They do go to real locations for filming. You can check out some of the information on that on the Wikipedia page. They've used various things like quarries and different museums and so on. The Barbican Centre, even in central London, to film certain sequences. So, effort has been put into this show, rightly so for the price tag, because it's one of the most expensive Star Wars shows ever made, because after the success of season 1, they plowed a lot of money into season 2, hoping to sort of build an audience for it, because it was the only one that everybody kind of universally praised. Some people didn't like it, but I liked it. I thought it was a thoughtful show for the most part. A couple of silly things, but so we're on to season 2. It's 1 year later. 3 episodes have dropped together. Cassian Andor was kind of on a mission. It seems to steal this kind of new TIE fighter prototype. It's got more than the usual weapons. It's armed with 3 different types of weapons. It is also capable of light speed, and he goes to steal it. Now, I'm very confused about a lot of elements of the plot, but that is one narrative that we follow. Him stealing this ship, which we later learn wasn't his original mission. And as I say, it's a little bit confusing. He takes the ship to a planet where he's supposed to hand it off to somebody else. His contact isn't there. Instead, at this planet, there are a load of stranded people who are not quite rebels, but look like rebels, who then divide into 2 factions. And there's a complete nonsensical, I would call it padding sequence, where they square off against each other while Cassian is held hostage. This goes on for most of episode 2, and quite frankly is quite boring. Meanwhile, this is intercut with the sort of political narrative of the wedding of Mon Mothma's daughter, and we cut back to that planet. Then we also have the storyline on the Harvest planet. I can't remember the names of all these different planets. You'll have to forgive me. And this is just a gut reaction. I've literally just finished watching these, so I haven't got extensive notes to draw from. It's not an in-depth review. It's a gut reaction. We're getting a sense that the Imperials are starting to put the squeeze on. And then the other narrative is from the sort of various Imperial officers' point of view. The characters we saw in season 1 involved in various kind of secret projects, including the building of the Death Star and the gathering of the elements that are going to make that possible, which includes taking over one particular planet, mining all its resources, and probably destroying the planet in the process. That's kind of discussed as a secret project in a scene very reminiscent of when the Nazis all met up to discuss the final solution. It was definitely drawing on that, and that was not lost on me. Quite a well done scene, I thought, actually. That's in mainly in episode 2. Episode 3, which is the one everyone's going to be talking about, involves the wedding and also the first ever depiction of a rave in Star Wars, which was pretty interesting, including a dance track. Hadn't seen that in Star Wars before, including people getting intoxicated through drink, but in a very recreational way. That's all I'm going to say. You need to watch it to see. It's quite a weird sequence, intercut with the action of Cassian returning to the planet and helping to save the day from the various characters there. Now, I mean, the thing that's this is a poster for season 2, and that's a pretty accurate depiction of what's going on. I quite like that poster, actually. Of course, this is all in the spectre of the Death Star being constructed, as we know. Yeah, I mean, there's also a scene between the two Imperial characters who are in the relationship, played by Denise Gough, who's one of the best actresses in this, playing Deirdre, and Kyle Sola, who's great as well, playing Cyril. Cyril's mother turns up, and I mean, I have to say that scene was very enjoyable. It was great fun, but it felt like I was suddenly in a David Mamet play with that scene. It just sort of, it's almost like, this is the thing about this show, is tonally it's kind of jumping into a lot of different pots. And at one point I feel I'm watching Star Wars. At another point I feel like I'm watching a David Mamet play. Then I feel like I'm watching something that's quite poorly written and directed and doesn't know what it's doing. And that was mainly the scenes on the planet between these two groups of not rebels, which went on for ages. There are some great talent here. There's some really good stuff going on with the production design. It's nice to see all these different planets. We're not stuck on, kind of desert all the time. So there's a real effort made there. And as I say, the acting across the board is universally first class. Anton Lesser, who I've met several times on the tube, and he lives near me, is particularly chilling. I love him in anything. But okay, so then we got sort of two things that happened towards the end of episode 3. A rather seedy Imperial officer attempts basically he comes back to the farm to take advantage of Bix and carries out what I can only politely describe as an attempted sexual assault. We won't use the grape word. And that's going to bring up a whole load of dilemmas for people. Do they want to see that kind of scene in Star Wars? Okay, well, first of all, in the context of the Star Wars universe, where the Empire is a dominant force and attracts a variety of different people working for it, is it realistic that that sort of thing would happen within that context? Absolutely, 100%. Of course it would. We know that the Empire have laid waste to entire races. This is mentioned in the first original trilogy. We know that they've committed all kinds of acts of atrocity in the name of law and order. So, I mean, it would be foolish to think that these sorts of things don't happen. Of course they would have happened. The question is, do we want to see it made? Do we want to see this stuff in Star Wars? Star Wars is predominantly, always has been, made for children. It's science fiction, space opera. Do we want to take it too far in the direction of Blade Runner, Ridley Scott, that sort of gritty stuff? I mean, Andor is grittier than the rest, granted. It always has been. The very first episode, he basically goes to a brothel. I mean, so sex is there straight away in episode 1 of Andor. You can't deny it. It's already been there. The scene itself is not that gratuitous. It is very PG, so the level of it is fine. It's just I don't have any problem with the way it's depicted. The question is, do you want that in Star Wars? I mean, part of me wants to say I'm past caring at this point, because there's been so many things that have happened with Star Wars that are not great. One more little thing is kind of neither here nor there. Does this work within the context of Andor as presented so far? Yes, it does. Is it tonally consistent within the tone of Andor? You have to say yes, it is, because, as I said, sex is in your face in Andor in episode 1 of season 1. It's just, again, it just comes back to the question, do you want to see it in Star Wars? Did we need it in this episode? Probably not, to be honest. I think we could have just had, it could have just been a question of this person coming back. You haven't got a visa, you're an illegal immigrant, I'm going to arrest you. And it could be implied what was maybe going to happen with her further down the road. So did we need it? No. So, I mean, I'm definitely in the camp of, I don't really want to see that stuff in Star Wars. I want to see space opera. I want to see battles, less of the politics, more of the adventure. And, you know, it's always been about little people going on big adventures. That's what Star Wars has been about. Now, there's a lot that's really good about Andor, a lot that's really good about it. Like I say, acting, some of the production design. I think Cassian's character is quite a good character. He's not brilliant at everything, but he's good at many things. So he feels like quite a realistic character. Also, the female characters in this are also they also all have flaws, which is good. We haven't got like a Mary Sue wandering around who's amazing at everything, either on the side of the Empire or on the side of the Rebels, or in the groups that are kind of one nor the other. They're kind of in the middle. So I think the characters in this are pretty realistic and well-rounded. But the show is a hodgepodge. You can tell that this is a show with many cooks. So tonally, the show is a little inconsistent. Content-wise, the show is a little inconsistent. I can literally see the writers' room meetings. Let's have a rave at the wedding. Now, some of you might know that I'm a bit of a raver when I'm not doing this kind of thing, and when I'm not writing plays and writing books and that kind of thing. You might find Lancey at one of these. Yeah, with my lightsaber. That was me down the front at a rave, and I've got more videos like that. So I've got nothing against raves. It's just, and I suppose, yeah, you know, the elite of the universe, which are the people at the rave, you know, if anybody has access to like music and drugs and all that kind of thing, it's going to be them, isn't it? I don't know. It just kind of, I'm just sort of not sure it really fitted the mold of Star Wars. And to be honest, I found that sequence kind of more like, and it was intercut with this action that was happening on another planet. And I don't know, as a directorial choice, felt like it was the only way to complete the sequences. Also, our character in this scene, excuse me, Mon Mothma, man, she's proper getting on it on something. I mean, I don't think there's any pictures of the rave stuff here, but our character here on the right, of course, played by Genevieve O'Reilly. She's fantastic in the part, by the way. I really like her in the role. I mean, she's at this wedding. She's getting on it. She's having down in these drinks, but it's clearly a sort of recreational form of alcohol, because by the end of the rave, she's completely off her tits. So we've got, this is a really interesting episode of Andor. On the one hand, you've got an attempted sexual assault, and on the other hand, you've got a load of rich people at a rave at a wedding. So, yeah, a wedding rave, let's call it, getting off their tits on recreationals or alcohol. What do you think? Leave a comment below, or leave a comment in the chat. Want to hear what your opinions are. on this topic. It's 10-1. I'm going to be staying on for about 10 minutes. Do share the stream if you care to. I've had a super chat from Not Brian. Yeah, Anton Lesser is terrific, and I will pass that on to him if I see him again, because he does live near me. The violence in Star Wars is firmly set in fantasy and is often implied rather than explicitly shown. That contrasts heavily with the gritty depiction of the assault. Agreed, not needed. Yeah, I mean, that whole sequence was quite violent, but I don't think the guy ever got the upper hand, really. He tried, but she bested him and kind of knocked him about a fair bit. Then he got a head wound, then he kind of staggered out, and then he fell over and he died. I mean, in the first Star Wars movie, don't forget, we have an arm decapitation fairly early on. We never know whether that character lives or dies. Sorry, excuse me, I'm still fighting off this bug. But you know, and of course there are other people that die, including a whole planet worth of people. Now, one of the things I was a little bit confused about, and maybe somebody in the chat will be able to tell me, is when we see Cassian, he finally manages to get back in his TIE fighter. That whole scene just was filler with those two groups of people. It was just annoying filler. There were some good actors among those kids, by the way. There were some good people who really made presence. You know, they had presence and they just didn't have a lot to do. There wasn't a lot. They were just these two groups of characters that were quite annoying. And when one of them goes missing, and that becomes a whole subplot within a nonsensical subplot that just was a whole load of padding. But the actors did their best, is what I'm trying to say. And some of them did stand out as being quite good actors. But when he leaves that, it clearly looks like Yavin. It looks like the moon on the far side of Yavin, where the rebel base is. Who else has watched it? Can you confirm that that's the case? But in any case, yeah. Also, Dark Hour. I just stream when I can, mate. I don't overthink the figures or anything like that. You know, I've always run this channel for fun, man. So I don't think about the times, about who's going to be watching in America or whatever. So you know, my time is quite precious to me, and I work a lot. So I stream when I can, which is it's not very often at the moment. Yeah. So is that the moon in Yavin in that episode? It's implied that it is. It's got the two temple things. So are we basically saying that these kids are gonna become the rebels who build that base there? I mean, is that kind of a setup for that? That's kind of what it felt like. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, but I mean, in which case, some of that stuff may in fact have a purpose. Maybe it's all gonna, you know, it's all gonna come round, and they're gonna serve a more functional role. But it just felt at the time, a lot of it just kind of felt like, really, you know, just all felt a bit. I don't know. All of that stuff felt padding to me, and it just went on and on and on. So I'm not sure how great that was. But anyway, yeah. So what did you think about it so far? What is your rating out of 10, guys, for these 3 episodes so far? Give it I suppose a 7, a very reserved 7. I want to see, you know, where is this going? What else are we going to see here in this show? But I do think the show has a lot going for it. But I think we are watching a show that is that has many cooks, that has many people's fingerprints on it, and I think that you know, there's probably a lot of people throwing out ideas here. I mean, on that subject, before we wrap this up, which I'm going to do shortly, let us just check the credits quickly. for episode 3, Harvest. Okay, so this is written by Tony Gilroy and George Lucas. Apparently, I can't imagine Lucas writing a rave into the Star Wars universe personally, let alone a sexual assault. It's directed by Ariel Kleiman. Now, Ariel Kleiman has directed quite a few episodes of this Australian director. And he's also worked on Yellow Jackets, Dispatches from Elsewhere, the first. Not loads of credits, but enough, I would say. Top of the Lake was a really good show, by the way. That was a really good show. Really did like that show. If it's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, and then I guess the main writer and creator here is Tony Gilroy. So, you know, you either like it or you don't. There's some interesting subplots and things going on. I'm getting a bit lost with a lot of the political minutiae of this show. Who exactly is? I mean, maybe that's the point, that different people have all got different agendas, so we don't quite know where we stand with different people at different times. But I will admit, I am getting quite lost with all of that, and sometimes I feel that some of the narrative for this show could be simplified a little bit. I don't mind complexities, I don't mind nuance, but it is quite weird to see a scene in Star Wars where a mother-in-law comes to dinner for 2 Imperial officers. I mean, who would have thought we would have ever seen that scene in Star Wars? That's kind of nuts, isn't it? Mother-in-law comes to dinner for 2 Imperial officers. I don't know. That's a bit. The more I think about it, the more I think how strange that is. You know, it was really quite odd that was in the show. But I do like the cast of this show. These are stills from season 1. I'm just going back a bit. We haven't got many stills for season 2 up yet. Just these. And of course, our man here, always fantastic. But I don't know. I don't know if they're going to pull this off. I mean, I think we can maybe have a 3rd season and then it ties into Rogue One, or it could tie into Rogue One at the end of this season. I'm not sure what the plan is. The number of episodes for season 2 is I believe there are 12. There's 12 episodes, so actually you can do quite a lot in that time. Most of them are written by Tony Gilroy, but you've got Bo William has done a couple. Dan Gilroy's done 3. Tom Bissell's done 3. He's done the last 3. Alonso Ruiz Palacos is the director on the last 3 episodes, Mexican director. So that's interesting that he trained at RADA in London. Very interesting. So I'll be interested to see what his episodes are like. I haven't seen any of his work. He's done about 3 feature films. Well, we shall see. I would love to know what you guys think. Put a comment under this video if you weren't watching it live. Do you want to see raves in Star Wars? Do you want to see attempted assaults in Star Wars of a sexual nature? Do you feel we need scenes with mother-in-laws visiting Imperial officers for dinner in Star Wars? These are the questions that the internet at large will be discussing, I guarantee you, fervently over the next few days, no doubt. In the meantime, I will be back at some point soon. Of course, we'll always be on for the Nielsen ratings on Tuesday. I may be back before then. We shall see. And I might do a late night. I might do an after open bar stream tonight. That is entirely possible. Ron is right. It's just popped in. I'm just about to wrap this up, Ron. But if you've got anything to say it now before I wrap this up. Do you want to see raves in Star Wars? Do you want to see assaults of a sexual nature in Star Wars? Do you want to see mother-in-laws come to dinner with Imperial officers? in Star Wars. That's really what we've been asking here. It is an unusual show. I will say it's definitely above the others. I don't know if I can say that I'm enjoying this, because I found a lot of the stuff in episode 2 really boring. I just, every time it cut back to the two sides of the rebels going through this, and then I forgot to mention, they play an equivalent of rock paper scissors to solve their differences, which just seemed absolutely ridiculous. Wasn't sure about that as a concept. I don't know. It just, some of the writing just felt really lazy, and padding wise, it really did feel like there was a lot of padding in that episode. Anyway, what do you think? Leave a comment. I'm going to wrap this up now, so leave a comment when this is becomes effectively a video on the channel, and let me know your thoughts. I will be talking about this on the Nielsen ratings again at 10 o'clock. I might get into it tonight after open bar. I might do an open bar after party, and I might get into it then. As you know, when I do those streams, if you're a YouTuber with a channel, doesn't matter how many subs you got, there's an open door policy. If you want to come on and say your piece, let me know and I'll send you the link. Until then, I'll catch you later tonight. That'll probably be around midnight UK time. Until then.